At last. I hope you found the place all right.
So what happens now?
Well, what happens now is you start your new life in the Dark Brotherhood. You're part of the family, after all. This, as you can see, is our sanctuary. You won't find a safer place in all of Skyrim. So get comfortable. Yes, the silence suits you. Gives you an air of mystery. Now, down to business. I'm arranging a job for you. But in the meantime, go talk to Nazir. He may have some smaller contracts to tide you over. Soon, the Night Mother will arrive. And things around here are sure to get even more interesting. Ah, but one last thing. A welcome home present. The armor of the Dark Brotherhood. May it serve you well in all your endeavors.
Who is the Night Mother?
The unholy matron, the shrouded lady, the mistress of the void. She goes by many names. Ages past, Sithis gave a woman 5 children. She killed them to win his favor, thus becoming the Night Mother. If you believe that sort of thing. Today, she's a skeleton. An ancient corpse. But more importantly, a corpse that's been brought to this sanctuary by her keeper.
So the Night Mother is being brought here?
Yes. A few months ago, I received word from the Night Mother's keeper that he had arrived in Skyrim from Cyrodiil. The Night Mother's crypt in Bravil was destroyed, a result of the chaos caused by the war with the Thalmor. That forced a relocation. I don't know where the keeper has been these past few months, but I recently received another letter. He's bringing the Night Mother here. Soon.
Where do the contracts come from?
They used to come from the Night Mother. Potential clients would perform the Black Sacrament, and she would hear their prayers. The Night Mother would communicate this to the listener, who would then dispatch a speaker to arrange the contract with the client. But that was a long time ago. There hasn't been a listener in years. Not since Cyrodiil was overrun in the war with the Thalmor. But people don't know that, so they still perform the ritual. And we eventually hear about it. When someone wants us, we find out. Used to be the Dark Brotherhood was bound by 5 tenets, but we stopped following those years ago. All those rules, all that discipline, and look where the Dark Brotherhood ended up. We're the last of our kind, and we live the way we see fit. Bottom line, respect your family. Do that, and everything else will fall into place. Be sure and introduce yourself to your new family members. They're all very eager to meet you.
Welcome, dear viewers, to Couch Warrior TV on YouTube.
I'm afraid
I am the
don't
Couch
have a
Warrior,
primary contract.
and you are watching Aranis Arcana, a Skyrim Let's Play. Welcome to Part 7 of Chapter 3, as we enter the Dark Brotherhood officially.
Okay, wait. Here we go. Oh, you're such a pretty little girl. With the sweetie like
So
a
Astra did a fairly
Oh, yes.
good job of explaining
Oh, yes, please, kind sir.
how the Dark Brotherhood works at this
Papa
point,
left me all alone, and I'm so
but we
very
can't be sure that what she described to us was entirely accurate.
Oh, yeah, very good.
Her description made it sound as if the contracts were given by the Night Mother.
Your teeth. No.
Other books that I've read and in other lore that I've looked into actually suggests that the Night Mother is really nothing more than a mouthpiece for Sithis, and that it's actually Sithis who hears the pleas of those people who perform the Black Sacrament, communicates that to the Night Mother, who passes it on to the listener, who in turn hands it to a speaker who assigns the work. And in this particular case, the speaker would be someone like Astrid, But as we have learned here from Astrid, there hasn't been a legitimate listener for years. As a matter of fact,
A big doggy chasing a little.
lore would also suggest that the last listener to officially exist was not really a listener at all, but a high-level assassin in the organization who actually anointed himself the listener, and upon failing to pass the tests of the listener, was murdered by other members of the Dark Brotherhood. So, it would seem there are some inconsistencies in the story, but we will sort that out.
So you're the newest member of our dwindling, dysfunctional
That is
family.
correct.
I've heard quite a bit about you. Ah, going for the mysterious and brooding thing, huh? That may work for your targets, but you'll find I'm not so easily impressed. Did she now? Well, as it turns out, there are a few lingering contracts we haven't had the chance to complete just yet. And more, dribbling in from time to time. I'll assign them to you as they become available, to be completed at your leisure.
Sounds simple enough.
It is. These aren't particularly glamorous assassinations, I'll be honest. Don't pay much either, but they'll keep you busy. Just do them as you're able. There's no real time limit. The targets aren't going anywhere. You can turn each one in as it's completed, or wait and turn in the whole group when all the targets have been eliminated. Whichever works for you.
Okay, Nazir, give me those contracts.
Well then, let's get started. I've got 3 available right now. Your targets are the Beggar Narfi, an ex-miller named Enodius Papias, and Baytil, a mine boss. When you've completed all those, we'll see if I might have some more.
Okay, let's gather some intel on our targets. We'll start with Narfi.
He's a hapless beggar living in some ruins just outside the village of Iverstead. Easy, even for you.
Okay, and then Enodius Papias.
He lived just outside Anga's mill in the woods. He was once the miller. Now Papias is just a paranoid recluse who thinks someone is out to get him. And he's right.
And Batilde.
She separated from her husband several months ago. Now the two run competing mining operations. Batilde's angry and desperate, a fighter.
Guess who took out that contract
I'll
on
teach
her?
you how to use it effectively and keep you quick on your
Well,
feet.
I'm just going to see what he charges. Yeah, I don't think I'll invest any money in training at this point. It's not like I have money to burn.
You've got people to kill, my friend. Best get to it.
Well, let's look around a bit and meet some of the others who are here. Get a sense for the layout. Now that is strange. Interesting point of fact, ladies and gentlemen. This is actually the first word wall that Fleet has encountered. And I can imagine that this experience for him is going to be very strange, perhaps uncomfortable. The fact that he registers some kind of power from the wall and finds that he can read the words on there, even though those are glyphs he's never seen before in his life. I think that could have a significant impact on him and his sense for what this Dark Brotherhood thing is all about. In fact, I think it's very likely that he could misinterpret what that means at this point, not knowing any more about the dragons than what he experienced in Helgen. So, it'll be interesting to play that out.
Well, it's raw meat. Oh, my beautiful wife has told me all about you.
So I'm just going to kind of wander around here, meet each one of the individuals of the Dark Brotherhood that we'll be interacting with.
always favorites.
During the course of our adventure, I'm also going to look around, pick up some loot, some things of importance.
I'm afraid I don't have a primary contract for you.
Yes, and one of the most important things is this book, Sithis. Not only does it give us a level, but the text itself is going to be of significance to Fleet. And some of the decisions that he will make going forward will be guided by what he reads in this book. Very shortly, I will provide you with a short reading of that book to wrap up this episode. So we are going to keep that. That book is ours. This note here is a note that is actually added by the Bandoliers mod, and found here in the Dark Brotherhood is basically a recipe that allows you to dye leather red. So if you follow the recipe with the right ingredients, you can dye leather red, and from there you can make custom Dark Brotherhood bandoliers that are black and red and feature the Dark Brotherhood logo. I'm going to pick up the rest of this shrouded gear. There's no point in leaving it here. With the exception of the shoes. As you know, I'm a boot guy. Alright, I think there was a soul gem over here. And actually, this book too, Lost Legends. I'm going to read this. This will add a quest. I won't keep it, but I'm interested in the quest. I didn't want the plate. Take the gem. I'm also thinking that I really need to offload some stuff. I don't have a house yet or anything like that, so I'll probably do that here. The Night Mother's Truth. This is another bit of lore that I think is worth keeping. I probably will do a reading of this text as well, as I think this text will provide some basis for Fleet's understanding of how the Dark Brotherhood works. I won't probably do a reading of that one in this episode, but perhaps the next episode. I'm not sure. I want time to sort of review and interpret the text for myself. But my understanding from other books I've read so far is that there is a Daedric prince, I believe. I believe it's a Daedric prince. Or maybe it isn't. I'm not sure. But Mephala, Mephala is mentioned here in this text, who was actually the patron of the Morag Tong in ancient times. And it is believed that the Dark Brotherhood was formed when a group of Morag Tong split off from the rest because they didn't agree with this worship of Mephala and were more inclined to worship Sithis, who is viewed as the larger, more ambiguous, sort of greater entity, if you will. And there is some lore that also suggests that, in fact, Mephala and the Night Mother are one and the same, and that Mephala was actually the mistress of Sithis. So, I don't know. Stuff's all over the map. And then there's other lore I've read that actually suggests that at one time the Night Mother was actually a mortal woman who somehow became the Night Mother after death. So we're going to do some research. We're going to read that. As I've explained in previous episodes, the spirituality or the spiritual aspects of the Dark Brotherhood and the cult-like aspects of the Dark Brotherhood are some of the things that will appeal to Fleet the most as he searches for ways to fill that void inside him. And it'll be interesting to see what happens if he decides to fill that empty space with dark and evil things. So the story is going to take some interesting turns, I think. I don't know exactly where it's going to turn yet, but I think that will be driven a lot by the story, the quests that we pursue from here on out, and the texts and the lore that we read and how it feeds into some ideas I have about what Fleet might do with all this information, all this exposure to strange things. I think also that, you know, going forward, there's just more and more bizarre things that are going to happen to him. Up until this point, things have been relatively tame, honestly. He has had quite a few interesting experiences, but those experiences up to this point have been fairly mundane. He's been stealing things, he's been fighting. In other words, they're all things that have been part of the physical world. And now we're starting to get into things that potentially would be more metaphysical, unexplained things, like how he can read languages he's never been able to read before, how when he has that experience at the word wall, his vision goes dim and the words glow and no one else seems to notice or hear the chanting that he hears in his head. These are the kinds of things that are going to influence him in any number of ways, and it'll be interesting to see how those things manifest going forward, those combined experiences. Up to this point, the strangest experience he has had has been the fact that he was one of the few surviving witnesses of the return of the dragons. But as strange as that was, he didn't have any experiences following that led him to correlate that to him in any way. Because, as you know, he has not gone to Bleak Falls Barrow, he has not killed his first dragon, and this was his first exposure to even a word wall. So it's interesting to think about how that encounter with the word wall could be misinterpreted. So we will take that all into account. I don't need this book. However, that first one we looked at actually added a map marker, someplace to explore.
Blamed on the mother. Remarkable.
In truth, it was so easy. I feel a bit guilty. Once again, the sweet innocent child.
Yes, you're the new family member. Let's make this easy. Consider me the cranky old uncle nobody talks to.
This issue of family is also an interesting thing. Fleet is a only son of a wealthy family where the father was distant and the mother was not present. So for him, the idea of what constitutes a loving family is probably quite warped. And in fact, it's very likely the further he gets into his experience with the Dark Brotherhood, the more likely he is to view these people as his new extended family, not really understanding what family is all about in a purely nurturing sense. So it's interesting to consider how all these things will influence him. Well, he is a fearless adventurer and an effective, efficient, deadly hunter and killer. He is in many ways emotionally and spiritually very childlike and probably inexperienced, naive in many ways. And I think that is why he has tended up to this point to be, or at least to appear, very selfish and very petty, kind of bent on revenge kind of a situation, because he just doesn't really know any better. Not that he's going to learn that here. The experience here is sort of a false family, right? It's a sense of family, only in that these are people who know you and appear to be nurturing and caring. But I think it's very likely that in the long run, that's not how this is going to play out. So I'm going to dump off some gear in this chest. I don't know for sure if the gear I put in here is going to be available to me when I come back to get it weeks or months from now. But what I do know is I need to ditch some stuff. I just need to ditch things. I've got too much weight and I don't have a permanent house. I've done this before with a Thieves Guild and been able to return after many, many, many levels to find my things still in the chest in the Thieves Guild. So for now, I'm going to assume that that's true. The things I'm dumping in here are things that I'm not, you know, super concerned about, even if they did disappear. I just need to shed the weight. Even the Thieves Guild armor, I just don't see myself wearing it. So I'm going to ditch it, and I can amp up my carrying capacity and kind of make up for those things I'm missing on the Thieves Guild armor by using some of these other mods I've acquired and crafting my own items. So that is what I'm going to do. Shed a little bit of weight. I was checking here as I was talking to people to see if there was anybody down here I could buy or sell from. So far, anyway, it appears that Babette is the only one that I can buy and sell from, but it doesn't appear as though I have anything that she would be interested in buying. At least nothing that would allow me to shed any weight. I was really only given the option to sell her ingredients and potions and a couple other things, lock picks. So that's a bit limiting. But I don't recall. It could be possible that as we go up, or as we go up levels or complete quests in the Dark Brotherhood quest line, that more options will open to us. So I will keep checking back. All right, so we've reduced a little weight here. The other thing I want to do is reduce some weight just by crafting. Let's level up first. I'm going to take Magicka, and I'm just going to buckle down and dump another level into Enchanting. That will get us up to perk level 2 Enchanting, which is 40% bonus on our enchants. I think very soon it's going to be time for me to actually enchant a little bit of gear to assist in either archery or one-handed. I'm not sure which. The good news is that we have now acquired our Dark Brotherhood gloves, which is going to give us a massive bonus on our dagger damage. So we will be doing that times 30 dagger damage now, which is going to make us much, much more effective assassins, and we will be seeing a lot more dagger wielding from this character in the very near future. Alright, so I'm disenchanting a few things here. I just wanted to double check. I have 2 items here that have a Fortify Archery enchant. They are both 20% bonus, so I'm just gonna I just disenchanted the circlet. There's no way that Fleet would ever wear a gold circlet, so we'll just disenchant it, get that enchantment under our belt so we can apply it to a necklace or a ring or both in the near future here. The other thing I'm going to do is burn through some of these iron ingots I have, make a few daggers.
Hello, Tidbit.
See if we can bump up a level in smithing.
Yeah.
Got a few here we can make. There we go. One more level in smithing.
Brother.
Alright. And there's nobody I can sell these to down here, so I'll probably end up just dumping these daggers off in that chest as well.
Hard not to think of you as a snack.
Yeah, we're a snack. This space here is also going to be, I think, an important place for him in the early stages of his career, as he learns more about what it means to be in the Dark Brotherhood, and as he learns more about Sithis and the basis upon which the Dark Brotherhood has operated. Again, this is another organization, though, that he's coming into that is hobbled, much like the Thieves Guild is fallen upon hard times. So has the Dark Brotherhood. So at this stage in the Fourth Era, the Dark Brotherhood has sort of fallen from glory, and there are really only a couple of places left that are safe for the Dark Brotherhood. And as we will find in just the near future, as our story continues, Falkreath may be the only remaining place safe for the Dark Brotherhood.
Tell me, brother, are the stories true?
Yeah, good luck. Huh?
Well, I thank you all very much for your viewership. As always, I'm extremely grateful that you come back and you watch religiously and you write me notes, and you all seem very appreciative, and in return I am also very appreciative of all that you do. So thank you for coming back and watching. And now we have reached the end of another episode. I thank you for taking the journey with me, and until next time, may all that you do be swift, quiet, and deadly. And to all Skyrim assassins, I salute you. Silence is our battle cry. And now I am going to leave you with a brief reading of the text Sithis. Sithis. Author Anonymous. Sithis is the start of the house. Before him was nothing, but the foolish Altmer have names, for the revere is nothing. That is because they are lazy slaves. Indeed, from the sermons, stasis asks merely for itself, which is nothing. Sithis sundered the nothing and mutated the parts, fashioning from them a myriad of possibilities. These ideas ebbed and flowed and faded away, and this is how it should have been. One idea, however, became jealous. It did not want to die. Like the stasis, he wanted to last. This was the demon Anu-El, who made friends, and they called themselves the Aedra. They enslaved everything that Sithis had made, and created realms of everlasting imperfection. Thus are the Aedra the false gods, that is, illusion. So Sithis begat Lorkhan, and set him to destroy the universe. Lorkhan, unstable mutant. Lorkhan had found the Aedric weakness. Lorkhan had found the Aedric weakness. While each rebel was, by their nature, immeasurable, they were, through jealousy and vanity, also separate from each other. They were also unwilling to go back to the nothing of before. So while they ruled their false dominions, Lorkhan filled the void with a myriad of new ideas. These ideas were legion. Soon it seemed that Lorkhan had a dominion of his own, with slaves and everlasting imperfections, and he seemed, for all the world, like an Aedra. Thus did he present himself as such to the demon Anua'el and the 8 givers as a friend. Go unto Sharmut Dagoth-Ur as a friend. You've been watching Aranis Arcana, a Skyrim Let's Play. If you liked this video, please rate, like, and subscribe. For more information on this and other Couch Warrior broadcasts, visit me on the web at www.couchwarrior.tv.